Hi, everyone, and welcome to my second day talking on Facebook Live. Welcome to the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Heritage Network Forum. So basically, it's a space where we just get to talk about industrial history and history in general, and how we can help to diversify history in the multicultural world that we are living in. So this is part of a program of 5 online workshops. To begin with, it may expand in the future, but 5 for this week, and 1 the following Friday, the 8th of the 16th of December. So this project is a project in partnership with the Arts Funding and Philanthropy Networks program, and we are lucky enough and grateful and thank you for the support from the Arts Funding and Philanthropy Network organization for helping us put together these workshops and educational spaces for people to learn more about heritage and to also get involved. My name's Norma Gregory, and I am a historian and writer. I am the founder of the Black Miners Museum, an online museum that is helping to collate and preserve the memories and the narratives of former coal miners that have worked in the UK. My aim is to also help museums overseas to also begin to showcase and to collate and to preserve the mining stories in their particular regions as well. So that's part of my work as a consultant now for museums. I'm director of Nottingham News Centre, which is a heritage and media social enterprise that was set up almost 10 years ago to help inform people about history, but also to present it in an interesting and engaging way. So the aims of the Diverse Industrial Heritage Network Forum, just to recap, we did cover some of this yesterday in the workshop, but just in case you missed any of the presentation yesterday, the aim of this network is to create a space to promote diversity and inclusion within industrial heritage in the UK, but also around the world. We want to welcome people, anyone who's always thought about learning a little bit more about what's all around them in the local area where they live, or what's history in their own country or in another country. Or this space is also for professionals as well, people already working within the industrial heritage sector. So it's a welcome to you and a well done to you as well, because we do a very important job in talking about our history, our shared history, and celebrating it as well. So this space is a place to just talk and share about your journey. I want to also use this network to link up with people overseas as well, who are also working in industrial heritage, just to see what's life like for you working in whatever space you're working in. And also to think about fundraising ideas as well, how to get the money to do what you need to do into preserving history. And we do need a bit of money to be able to do that. But some of the things we can do for free as well, by visiting places as well. But we'll talk about that on another day. So just recap on some of the days that we are talking in this network forum. We began yesterday, which is Monday the 5th of December 2022. Today we're going to be looking at a new topic, which I will share with you in just a second. And for the rest of this week, tomorrow and Thursday, we're at the same time, 11 o'clock UK time. And the last kind of final workshop will be on Friday the 16th of December 2022 at 10 o'clock. So that is the next week at 10 o'clock. So please join us to share some of your experience and comments and ideas. You can register for any of these events on Eventbrite. You can see the link below and the meeting instructions and login details through Zoom. So yesterday we really just introduced what was history, what is it I'm talking about, what is heritage, what does it mean, and what is diverse heritage. So I'm calling diverse heritage that also includes and incorporates stories from other cultures and other races, other nationalities, to make sure that the history that is being presented is seen and presented from different angles and different perspectives. So that's what I'm talking about when I am talking about diverse heritage. So therefore, diverse industrial heritage, a bit longer phrase there, is talking specifically about heritage, but industrial heritage. So again, just recapping what we discussed yesterday with our listeners, we talked about what was industrial heritage and what kind of industries we were looking at. So we were looking at coal mining, say, or mining in general, railways, we're talking about canals, we're talking about industrial spaces. We're also talking about people as well, cultures, we're talking about traditions. They can also be included in industrial heritage. We can talk about costume, work clothes that people used to wear in their work. That also comes into industrial heritage. So it's a very wide spectrum that is industrial heritage, and that's why I love working in this sector, because there's so much to learn and there's so much to see, and it's really interesting when you find out all the brilliant things that people used to do, that people used to wear, what they talked about, what they did in their free time. There's so much involved in heritage, particularly industrial heritage. So today's workshop, we're going to be talking about finding work within the industrial heritage sector. Finding work. How do you find work? Where do you start with getting a job in the heritage sector, and particularly industrial heritage? And also the second half of today, we're going to be looking at raising a bit of money, raising a bit of funds so you can do your projects, so you can get paid, so you can purchase some new artifacts or help preserve an existing monument, say, or waterway. So we're going to talk a little bit about money today. I know things are tough for many people, so this is a really good chance for you to look at ways that people are raising funds, fundraising, and also what you can do. And that's going to be today's workshop. Tomorrow, just a quick brief outline again. We're going to be looking at some of the services that you can do once you are a consultant or once you are working in the heritage or industrial heritage sector, the kind of roles and the kind of services and products that you can think about developing in order to make a sustainable future for the organization, and perhaps for yourself if you are working for yourself. So we're going to look more about services and products tomorrow, on Wednesday the 7th of December 2022, and on Thursday we're going to look about what it is, why we should be working in partnership with others, why we should be working collaboratively with other organizations in order to get jobs done, tasks done. It is helpful, but some of the time you will need to work by yourself, work independently, but majority of the time you may well be talking to somebody else, engaging with somebody else, and helping to make a positive change with other people and other organizations. So we're going to talk about partnerships on day 4. And day 5, the final day, on Friday the 16th, will be all about thinking about your career, perhaps in the heritage sector, particularly industrial heritage sector, and your career perhaps in museums. How do you find a job in a museum? How do you start making heritage related media products such as podcasts, start writing books, start making television programs, and so forth. So we're going to look at that next week. Okay, so finding work as a EDI, that means equality, diversity and inclusion. Whenever I say EDI, that's what it means: equality, diversity and inclusion. Finding work as an EDI heritage practitioner. So how do we start finding work? I think I'm just going to go back to this slide I just moved away from. I think the first thing is to work out what is it you want to do. and what you are finding, what do you find of interest and why? Because those are the things that are going to push you and encourage you to pursue your dreams, really, and also to learn more about things that you're interested in. So I think that's the first starting point, is to just work out, what are your skills? Are you good with computers? Are you good with talking to people? Are you good at working by yourself? Are you good at writing, reading, speaking, creating events, say? So just have a really just kind of have some time, reflective time, to just jot down, get pen and paper or computer if you want to work on by digital means, but pen and paper will do, and just jot down a few, just say 5 things to begin with. What are the things that you notice about yourself? Because it's not always about what people tell you you're good at. It's about what you enjoy, and what you notice about yourself. Do you like to, like for me, I'm quite happy working by myself in my office writing, because I've spent many years studying, and as a student you're often working by yourself a lot of the time, as well as with other students. So, but I've got used to that kind of working in isolation, but then coming together with other people when I need to. So that's something that, it is a strength. It might seem as a negative to some people, but it's a strength, because I actually focus really well sometimes in isolation. So there are kind of different viewpoints, but it's for you really to just think about, what is it you enjoy, and what are your strengths, and use those strengths, because they are really important. And work out, like I said, what is it you're interested in? Are you interested in finding out about yourself? Because that's what heritage is about. A lot of it, it's actually finding about your own identity, or other people's identity, or kind of experiences. It's a very personal kind of job and sector to be in, the heritage sector, I think, because you actually spend a lot of time thinking about people, and which I enjoy, and I actually like to ask a lot of questions. So that brings in my kind of journalism and media background, is that I'm very inquisitive, and I actually want to know, what is it like for you? What happened then? Tell me about it. So it's that kind of questioning nature that I have within me that has been useful in my heritage sector work experience. So just have a think about that. So that's the first thing that I would suggest on finding work within the industrial heritage sector. Other ways of finding employment, paid employment, I must differentiate this against alongside voluntary work, because voluntary work is unpaid, and you're not committed to stay for any length of time. You're volunteering, so that's different as opposed to paid work, where you are kind of required to work for a specific amount of time, doing specific things that you have agreed to, and you've agreed a fee. That could be a monthly fee, as in a wage, or it could be a commissioned work where you'll be paid in parts, say one part at the beginning of your contract and another part in the middle and another part at the end, say, or you might be paid weekly. It depends on what you have agreed. And I must say, please have a contract, an agreement, a signed contract that you have agreed to, that you've read and you are happy with, and make changes to any contract that you sign before you start, because it's just helpful that you are clear on what you're doing, and whoever you're working with, another organization, say, or another freelancer, say, that they know what you are, your boundaries and what you're agreeing to, and you know as well. So I always work with a contract and an agreement. So other ways of finding paid work then. So they might be contacting an organization. So it might be in direct contact with a museum or heritage site, heritage organization that you're particularly interested in. Hopefully you would have done some research into that organization, looking at their website, talking to staff, say, go and visiting the place. That's very important, to visit and have a walk around yourself. So that's a good way. I think that it's very important to get the name of somebody there. Like, don't just send a letter addressed to no one on it, because who's going to read that if it's not addressed to them? So just do your homework and find out who is it, the person that you need to speak to or email. Perhaps initiate an informal video chat. That's really helpful to build relationships, so they can see you, you can see them, and you can just get a relationship going and feel if that's an organization you would like to work with. And it's not work for, it's work with. You're a partner, you're a team member, so you're not working for someone, you're working with, you're a team member. So that's an important thing I think you need to think about, who you're contacting and why, and also the organizations. So I'm going to talk a little bit about which organizations you might consider. I've done a kind of database of some industrial heritage organizations that exist and that you might think about visiting and contacting and trying to get work for in the future. Other ways of finding work are very similar to the first point, which is working out who are the curators at a particular museum or organization, because they often work with professionals, external partners, and they might be a good source of finding out more about the organization. And for perhaps getting work experience, you might get a day's work experience, or it might be that you help that organization on an event that they're putting on. So working with particular staff members are really helpful, I've found, in my experience as a diverse industrial heritage consultant. The Museum Association is another fantastic portal space where you'll find masses of information about work within the museum and industrial heritage sector. They also have a really important jobs portal for finding out the jobs that are available in the sector that are being advertised. So they're really great. And also Historic England as well. They've got a wealth of information about industrial heritage sites and jobs as well. It might mean finding work might mean that you create your own media pack. That means just really a very simple brochure. It could be 1 page, 2 page, just say a Word document, or a kind of bit more fancier document with kind of, you know, a well-produced kind of interesting looking design, you know, like graphic designed booklet. It might be that you use that method to advertise, almost like a CV. But it's just stressing what is it you're looking for, what is it you're interested in, why, and explaining what is it you want, because that's a really helpful. Instead of just sending a plain old email, you might attach it with the email, that it just gives a bit more information about who you are, what you can do, and what you're offering and what you are seeking. So that's really important, having a media pack. Also website testimonials. You know, if you work with anybody, ask them at the end of that work or contract, you know, would you mind sharing a few sentences about your work with me? What was it like? What was good? And that could be a simple email. They could send you a Word document and just cut and paste that onto your own website, if you've got a website, or if your Twitter page or your social media. So testimonials are really good because they just say from another person's point of view, what was good about working with you, what was successful. Word of mouth, getting word of mouth, that leads on from testimonials, because people who read those testimonials, they will, you may get a job through that source, you know, word of mouth, some good news about you being passed on to somebody else, and that's how you get work as well. So that's another way that I've been able to find work within the industrial heritage sector. Networking at conferences, meeting other professionals, talking, being part of the network, you will find work, because often that's a way, you know, you get to know people, you get to know what's happening, which organizations might be needing help, which new projects are happening, starting. So that they're really great to attend conferences and trade shows and workshops, online meetings, online workshops or physical meetings as well. Another way of finding paid work is by creating your own work, i.e. setting up your own project and planning a project from scratch. If you approach the Heritage Lottery, National Lottery Heritage Fund, they're fantastic in that they will encourage beginner starter projects. That's really great experience for kind of leading your own work. Because I always think I love leading my own work. I love kind of creating projects from scratch and then watching them build and making them happen over time. And the end results, the impact of your project at the end. That's absolutely brilliant for the confidence, for getting people involved, getting volunteers involved, getting staff, employing staff. It's a great way. So think about creating your own heritage project. It might be that you might be solving a problem. It might be something in your local area that's been that's disused or broken down. How could you fix that? How can you solve that problem? So that's a project. So think about things, look around you. Is there anything that needs reviewing, anything needs maintaining, preserving? That can be your project, and it can bring in income as well. You can get funding, grant funding, you could get crowdsource funding, you could get donations, you can put some of your own money if you have your own money to put into it. It might be in terms of time or administration, but it's a great way of getting experience and leading your own work. Which I love to do. I love to lead my own work. I feel great. I feel liberated, and I feel I can be creative as well. You might want to think about the broadcasting side of paid employment. That could be being a writer for a journal or magazine about some heritage in your local area. It might be that you write the content for an exhibition, say. So there's many ways of being creative that can generate income, but be confident and be strong. And it may take a few kind of projects to get the kind of money that you're looking for, say, but it's not always about money. I think it's about the experience, and it's the total enjoyment of what you're doing in order to help others understand, in order to educate others. So I think once you have your mission, what is it you're about? Are you helping raise awareness, helping people access things that they weren't able to access? I think once you have your goal and your mission, your passion, that helps to shape your income. So think about that first. What is it you're trying to do? And finally, you could also think about creating your own projects and selling your own projects as well. These can be, again, back to books. It may be creative artwork if you're into painting or design, if you're into writing, if you're into digital technologies. You might think about, what product could I make and sell, or what service could I offer and charge for that service? So do think creatively when you are thinking about being an entrepreneur and you are working for yourself or working for an organization. Other ways of fundraising now. So we're moving on to think about how you can raise some income to pay for the things that you're trying to do around industrial heritage, preserving history. So we mentioned before the National Lottery Heritage Fund. They do offer a wide variety of grants to support projects that are solely related to heritage. So it's worth looking on their website. And Grants Online is a fantastic resource. It is paid subscription, so you do have to pay to access their database, but it's absolutely brilliant database that lists all the available grants that exist all over the country, and you can search by region, you can search by the kind of thing you want to work in. So for instance, if you want to work in sports, helping young people do sports, or using working in heritage and sports. The Grants Online website is really fantastic. We'll be able to offer you, show you the grants that are available for those specific that specific theme that you're kind of looking at, or perhaps helping young people. They've got grants specifically that are projects that help young people. Other fundraising avenues might be through social media. You might find ways people advertising for funds or kind of projects through social media. Word of mouth, you might hear from other people who've just received grants or kind of monies through, say, Kickstart crowdfunding. See how they did it, talk to them, how they got their funding, and have a go yourself. Testimonials as well. Talk to people who have had grants and how it was for them. Was it made easy for them to access the grant or very difficult? You know, some of the challenges. So just keep it real and talk to people. Another way of finding funding is by working again in partnerships, creating a project where you're actually working with another organization or partner, creating a joint funding application, because I find that funders do actually like you to work with other organizations. They feel happier that you are working with organization. I think that's done for a number of reasons. One is that you'll be able to pull in various skills and knowledge. You'll be able to pull in people from also all over the place, all over the country, and with different levels of skills. And also, it just takes the pressure off one organization to deliver. So when you are working with other partners on a project, it's a shared responsibility, and that's actually really helpful sometimes, in that it takes the pressure off you to do everything. So you can actually say to your partner, who you're working with, your partner organization, have we done this yet? Have we done this yet? Do we need help there? Do we, you know, so you can negotiate and you can talk to get the jobs, the activities that you've planned done. So that's actually really good. So joint funding applications. Doing talks and presentations, I mean, these are ways of bringing in income. If you're a specialist on a particular topic or theme, or you've done a particular research project for years, and you've got a lot of knowledge around a particular area of history, you could do talks at universities, at colleges, schools. You could do online talks, you can do physical talks. So that's a great income earner. And training others. So that might be training other organizations, such as staff training or a particular age group. That's a really good source of income. And don't forget to negotiate your rate. Please check your rate. You could perhaps check different pay, go to various websites online and just check the kind of average pay for speaker fees, so you're not undercutting yourself effectively by offering a too lower rate, or by suggesting a too higher rate. So do some homework around that. And you could raise funds, raise income through sales of your products that you provide, and through donations. So you might find that you've got people are watching what you're doing and they like what you're doing, and you might have, say, on your website, you might have a QR code donation box that people can scan their phone and make a donation through PayPal, for example. It all helps. Yes, every little helps. Don't forget that. And again, through your networks and professionals. So you can raise funds through many variety of ways. Please be persistent and don't give up. It may take a little time, and it may take a little bit of experience of fundraising, but it's worthwhile. And I think it's essential. It's really essential to have some funding to do the work that you need to do within the heritage sector and industrial heritage sector. So this slide, I always just leave a blank one just to start thinking, just to kind of initiate some thought about some good ideas or good strategies, some strategies that you might start thinking about in order to make a change in your own life or in somebody else's that you know is really keen to work in the heritage sector. So just jot down a few ideas, some first steps that you might do in the coming days to make a change. For further reading now, back to some of the places online where you might visit, first of all, to get some ideas. So you can go onto our website, nottinghamnewscentre.com, and see some of the work that we've been able to do over the last 9.5 years. And our case study website is blackcoalminers.com. So that website just showcases some of the heritage preservation work we've been able to do, preserving the heritage of miners of African and Caribbean heritage in the UK, some of the activities, the workshops, the talks and the exhibitions that we've been able to put on over almost 10 years now. So please have a look at that website. We do have a Black Miners Museum YouTube channel as well. Museum Detox is an organisation that helps works with many professionals, but particularly professionals from different cultures and backgrounds within the heritage sector. So they're a fantastic group to network with, as well as the Museum Association, museumassociation.org, fantastic kind of umbrella organisation that supports the work and the workers within the industrial heritage and heritage sector in general. A more local association is the Nottingham Industrial Heritage Association, doing very good work within the Nottinghamshire area, preserving industrial history. And funders, the Arts Fundraising and Philanthropy Organisation, they do some fantastic work as well, doing lots of programs, helping up many organisations to become more resilient and to also develop leadership skills and professional skills within the heritage sector. And Historic England and the Heritage Lottery Fund, two major organisations that help to preserve heritage in the UK. Also, please don't forget to visit any bookshop. I just went on Amazon this morning just to have a look at industrial heritage books, and they've got a wide range on there. And I just spotted one that I really liked called Industrial Heritage 50 Walks in Britain. So don't forget to actually visit some of these spaces as well. If you wish to contact me, Norma, at Nottingham News Centre, please just email and I will try to get back to you, or visit our websites on the links below. So that is all for this part 2 in our Diverse Industrial Heritage Network Forum. I hope you found it engaging. I hope you've learned a lot, and please feel free to get in touch. We hope to see you at the next workshop. Until then, take care.